All right, so let's go to the second part of today's session, whereby we need to look at the eStation functionalities and look at some of the workflows that it's attached to. So we'll also talk about some of the software architecture and how it's configured in a way that we can be able to manage the Earth observation data very well. So some of the application features that the eStation program or software has, and also dive into analysis section of and how this eStation software supports analysis of the Earth observation data. Now, I was giving more info on issues that are facing different research community, academias, and the institutions managing resources in each country. In that, in many institutions, internet is still a very, very big challenge. And this challenge of internet is the one that is really, really making the managing of these resources, focusing on the data that is viewing them from the above is being a challenge. And internet for developed countries is a bit stable. It's very stable. But in Africa, we are still having this as a big challenge. Internet can really empower development in a very drastic way. Although we see some of the governments looking at it as the tax-based area to collect taxes. But my opinion would be that if internet would be made cheaper or affordable to the people, the growth of each of the country would be a little more spurred to a larger extent. So the other issue that we see is also the quality and the suitability of the data. We have this question that which data are best suited for which specific application, and for which area of interest. Let's say our area of interest could be a certain national park or a certain protected area in question, and also which portfolio is offering the data. So whenever you're going to do research, whenever you're going to do analysis, whenever you're going to work with Earth observation data or remote sensing data, the first question that comes to your mind is, where can I get this particular data? Where can I download it from? And you'll see that the global village attitude or need is normally fueled or supported by access to internet. Now, access to internet can be a serious challenge. It can hamper development of a country if it is not affordable or if it's not reliable for that case. Because even when you know where the data is, you cannot be able to download it. And if you can be able to download it, how long does it take you to download the data that you need? So internet is one of the key I would say fuel for global village that we're talking about. Then also the data sets that they come in different formats. Okay. In this platform, I don't know which people have worked with what we call the HDF, the NetCDF, the GRIB, the TIFF files. Okay. So you'll find that the data sets come in different formats. Okay. So managing complexity then becomes a problem. When you're working with Earth observation data or remote sensing data or GIS data, there's this component of projection. Projection, you'll find that the data is being projected using a different projection, and then you need to use it in a different projection. And all this, you have maybe three sets of data sets, and they're all owned, they're of different projection, but also there's this aspect of continuity, okay? That you have certain data sets that maybe were operational from 1980s, and then in 2000, they were no more. There was another program that came in that continued from 2000 up to 20, maybe 16. Then from 2016, you have another satellite or data that is available from 2016 up to 2024 or currently. So you'll find that this harmony of all the continuity of the data is also there. So if you are doing analysis and you have this an interlinked chain of availability of Earth observation data, then analysis becomes very, very complex for you. And also the easiness of one to perform analysis is also one of the challenges that our officers managing natural resources and research community face in their daily work. So we have the long-term data, we have anomalies that needs to be processed, and then the temporal composition also needs to be performed. Now, all these things require a very good knowledge of, first of all, which data sets is available and under what period is it available, through which projection, and then how do I generate the long-term average of it, and what anomalies can be generated, and so forth. So these are the complexities. And Dr. Waiswa is going to speak more about this tomorrow, because that is something that he has a lot of experience over more than me in this field. So we are looking forward to hear more about this in our tomorrow's segment.
Thomas, this ask if the sound is okay to everybody.
Okay. Is everyone listening to me very well?
Yes, on my side.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, on my side.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for the feedback. All right. So next, we have now the eStation that comes into play. We have looked at the challenges. Okay. Now, how does the eStation try to fill this gap? So in terms of the data analysis challenges, we see that there are many platform sensors and the data formats. They are in various time scale and space, as well as what we call the resolution. So the resolution can be based on the sensor signature. It could be based on the spatial sizes of the pixels. It could be also based on the time or the temporal resolution. So our data sets or Earth observation data sets come in these formats or in this resolution variance. And then also the satellite continuity, like I mentioned, and the consistency for the long-term series. Those are all the challenges that, in addition to what I've mentioned earlier, that the data analysis community face. So on the right, how does the eStation tries to do that? First, it reduces the remote sensing burden. So when you get a remote sensing image, okay, you'll need to generate a product from it. When it's an image, it's I would call it a raw form of the data. It's in a raw form. So you need to generate a product from it. Let's say you have a satellite image from Landsat, and what you want to generate is the normalized difference of vegetation index, or you want to generate the fire index, or you want to generate the band ratio index, or you want to generate the built up areas from it. Now you're trying to generate a product from it. Now, eStation tries to reduce this burden of generating data from or processing data from the raw format or the satellite data from a raw format into a product. Then also, of course, when you reduce this burden, then you put more effort in analysis and interpreting the output or the data that the product that you will have generated. Let's say in our case this time, the theme is that we want to look at the conservation of protected areas. Now, these natural habitats that we have, we need to put more effort in analyzing the data, okay? And when I say that analyzing the data, analyzing already processed products, okay? Near to completion data or products from the satellite data, so that our focus may be put more on interpreting the information that we are analyzing, other than taking days or taking more effort in analyzing data from the raw format to a product. So Doctor will speak more about the eStation software origin. You will speak more about the programs that are started and where the eStation started coming on board. But I would tell you that we have a software that is called Spirit. Spirit software was the first software that was not really the first, there was the earlier one, but Spirit then made it generated more like a graphical user interface that is easy. The earlier software before Spirit was used to, you do more like a coding process to be able to do analysis. Then they generated Spirit that allows for one to be able to do to click and, you know, visualize the products easily without writing a code. And then later the eStation came on board because they needed now to look at it running in a way that, because technology keeps changing, and Doctor spoke about this yesterday, that technology keeps changing and more sensors or satellites are being deployed, and the way they are configured keep changing over time. So through this program, they are trying to say, the EU and African Union program, they're trying to say that how can we ensure continuity of the products that have been generated previously, but also merge them with the current trend of the products that are coming through. So Doctor will speak more about this in tomorrow's segment. Now, he will also speak more about the program of the eStation itself as well. But in summary, what we are doing is that we have installed what we call the eStation Windows software. But inside the building where I'm sitting right now, we have what we call the full eStation setup. So if you look at the one you've installed, it's a lighter version. So a lighter version means it's a part of the bigger, the full station. Now, the full station that we have here in Makerere University that is linking the data, and the software application actually does the same thing that we have already in the lighter version. Although, of course, it may not handle all the functionalities that the full eStation setup has. Now, here we have what we call the receiving station. The receiving station is composed of the antenna. So we have the antenna just outside the building. So those who have visited Makerere University and you visited School of Forestry, you'll be able to see an antenna outside, which is linked to the UMEDSAT or the UMEDCAST data satellite. And the data is linked through this satellite, because this satellite is basically, it's a geostationary satellite. So it's linked to this antenna. And then we have what we call the computer or PC1. So PC1 is the one that communicates with the antenna and also the PC2 and 3. Now, the PC2 and 3 is the actual eStation. The PC1 and the antenna are the receiving station. So in your in the software that you've installed, you're now mimicking two computers together. So basically, you have PC2 in your in your software. So what I mean is, what PC2 does is in your software, but also what PC3 does is in your software. However, in our full eStation here, we have three computers. The first computer is PC1, which is linked to the receiving station or this antenna. Then PC2 do the processing of the data. And I'll show you in our software that we have installed what is in PC2. And then PC3 does the analysis. So the analysis tab in your software that you've installed is dedicated in PC3. And we'll review that more in details. So how does this three computers operate? So the receiving station, like I said, is an antenna, and the first computer, which is the PC1. So it does what we call the get UMEDcast. So the get UMEDcast service, we saw those services yesterday. This service is the one that allows the PC1 to pick data from the satellite information that is coming from UMEDsat into the antenna. And then we have, remember I said the eStation is PC2 and PC3. So the PC2 and PC3 run three services. So we have the ingestion services, we have the processing services, and we have the system services. However, we also have another service within the eStation, which is PC2 and PC3, which is called the Get Internet. So yesterday we linked or imported these services from our local disk C. So speaking more about these services, okay? So the receiving services or the GET service is run into two protocols. And this protocol are either file transfer protocol or HTTP, okay? Hypertext transfer protocol, that's HTTP. So this protocol, we have the get UMEDcast protocol, which is running in PC1, and the get internet, which is running in PC2. So the get services are of two categories, the get UMEDcast and the get internet. The get UMEDcast is picking data from the UMEDcast satellite, and then the get internet is basically just picking it from internet. So we have some services or people that have deposited data on the cloud or on internet. So that is what that service function to bring the data from this internet hosted data into the eStation. Then we have the ingestion service. So the ingestion service, remember we talked about different formats that data come with, the resolution, we talked about the differences in the projection, we talked about the differences in the temporal resolution and so forth. So the ingestion service is the one that helps to merge all these complexities together. And at the end, it generally generates the data in a GeoTIFF format. So when the data is in a so if the data is coming from NetCDF, HDF, all those formats, NV, image, all those formats, it will then convert them. So it works like those who do programming, something like GDAL, what GDAL application does. So it converts all those things into a normal format based on the region that is have. Okay, so optionally, it also does the reprojection. Remember, if the data is coming in different projection, it has to be reprojected to the same or the same projection. Clipping of the data to an area of interest. We'll be able to see how this operates. So you have your protected area shapefile and you want to only clip the data to only that particular area. So all this is being done by the ingestion service. Remember yesterday we said that the data that comes is covering the whole continent. However, when you're selecting your thema, you can select ICPAC as your thema. So what that will do is that it will clip the data for the ICPAC region or IGAD region in this case. If you've selected SADC, then it will clip data to only the SADC region. If you've selected for the North Africa or the Southern Africa, then you will only clip the data for only those regions. Then we have also the processing service of the UMET of the eStation. So this service basically helps to derive from the input data additional products. So we said that, for example, CHAPS data is coming daily, okay? So every day we receive CHAPS data. Now, if you're receiving CHAPS data daily, what happens? The processing service is going to generate what we call the decade data. So the decade data is then going to be the 10-day average. So the decade data is then going to be the 10-day average. So what it means, it will sum off the 10 days, the daily data into a sum of 10 days. And then also you have the monthly data. So it will sum each day into a month. And then you also have the annual data or the 3-month data. So it will sum each daily data into 3 months. So what the service that is doing all that is the processing service. So it will be able to do the sum. Now, if you're doing this within ArcGIS software or QGIS software, you will have to do this manually. So you will have to have, you have to use a map algebra maybe tool within the QGIS software or the ArcGIS software to do an average, to do the sum, to do the difference, to generate the anomaly. All these services are being generated by the processing service. However, if you're using those softwares, you will have to do this manually, okay? And then, of course, we have the system tab or service. So this is to run a number of housekeeping and the background task, including managing the data, synchronizing the data, doing a backup of the database, and some monitoring and diagnosis or diagnostic operations. So this is what the system service will do inside the eStation. Okay. Now we'll be able to click on the link. You'll do this at your own later when you get this material. However, when you open your eStation software, like the way we did last time, you'll be able to encounter the first tab, which is called the dashboard. So what does the dashboard tab does? So it presents the overall status of the MESA station and offering one ability to control and enable all the services. So we'll be able to see that shortly. Then we have acquisition tab. This allows you to view and control the status of the services. We have already spoken about the services, which helps one to retrieve and ingest the Earth observation data. So ingesting is more like digesting the food that you will have eaten. So you eat food, okay, through the retrieval process. Then after putting it in your mouth and then it has entered your stomach, you need to digest it. So the ingesting process is also in the food chain is also the digestion. Okay. And then the processing is, it allows you one to start and stop the processing of new products, but also you can, for example, control the processing services. So we have already spoken about the processing services. The acquisition tab allows you to manage the get and ingestion services. And we spoke about this how the get and ingestion services operates. The data management tab lists available data sets. Both those are data acquired. So acquired is something that is more like raw, and then the ones that have been processed. So the processed ones are things like the decad, which is generated from daily data, the monthly, annual, or 3 months, quarterly, and all those things that are generated. Analysis, and we're going to talk more a lot about analysis, because the others, you just activate or deactivate a service if you want to. But now in analysis, it's where you actually generate the final meat. And we are going to do more from tomorrow, part of today, Thursday, and Friday. We'll be talking or doing more in analysis tab. The system control, we have already done that yesterday and part of today, whereby we change the theme of the region. We didn't look at the log levels, but also the directories as well as the reports can be viewed from the system tab. I've not touched on the help tab yet, but I'll be able to show that tomorrow, because some of the content of what we shall be talking about tomorrow is in the help tab. So this helps you to read the system help files. You can be able to download them or access the references that are linked there on the web. Yeah. So let's go through these tabs. I'll just show you step by step, but most of the things are already in this manual. So let's first start with the dashboard tab and talk more about it. So in the dashboard, which is right here. So in this tab, what do you do from here? So first, you can be able to look at PC1 is not connected to your computer, to your the eStation software Lite version. And the reason is because you don't have the components that PC1 has. In Makerere University, we already have it. We have the PC1 computer, and this PC1 computer has what we call the DVD card, which is attached to it. Doctor will speak more, or I'll also speak more about them tomorrow. Then we have the telecast. The telecast is more like a software which is already installed inside PC1. So it's the one that helps to run the DVD card. So without the telecast software, you cannot be able to operate the DVD card. The DVD card is like a graphic card that you basically put inside the computer. So it's a hardware, and then the telecast is a software that runs the DVD card. And then we have the file transfer software. The file transfer software is also a software of its own. So it's also installed within the PC1. But in normal circumstances, this doesn't stop you from doing analysis, okay? We're using the eStation. If you have the program, or you're the beneficiary of this program and you have PC1, which has the license, then you can have it running within your institution. Okay, so if you have that linked, this arrow is going to turn from red to green. So the red now, it's showing that it's not connected to PC1, but if it was connected, then it would turn to the color green. Now, next, under the dashboard, you can be able to control the services. I told you that these services are running in PC2. Okay, so your software or your computer right now is acting as PC2 and PC3. Now, these services, the UMedCast service, remember we used the daemon master yesterday to import the services. So these services are right here. So you simply manage them For example, you can run a service, you can stop that service, you can restart a service, but also you can view the log files. Okay, you can view the log files. So when you click to view the log files of the UMED cast service, you'll see some error and some info that is in there. Now, this allows you to, first of all, monitor, because each of the message that you receive is tagged to time. Okay, so it's tagged to a certain time. So you'll see that at this time of this particular day, this was the error. And what could this error be? Okay, so you'll see that right now, at this time, we had something retrieving the message RSC file from PC1. So what the software does is that the moment you have an internet connection and you're running this software, it's going to link to the Joint Research Center computer PC1. Okay, you may see that it's physically read, but actually inside there, it's actually operating, it's linking through internet, through a certain protocol to do that. But also we see in the red here, we see an error. So this error is basically telling us something that it cannot connect to PC1 via FTP, which is a file transfer protocol. Now you can turn on and off these services if you want. So for example, if I turn this off, I stop this service, it's going to turn from green to red. So now when it is red like this, it shows me that that service is not connected. So whenever you start your eStation software, it's important that you make sure that all the services are running green, because if they're all running green, it means they're all operational. Another is, so if you try to start the service from here and it's not starting, you simply go to the daemon master, and I'll just show you. So the daemon master is located in your desktop. So when you open it, it's going to bring this same question like last time. Then you say yes, and then you say okay. So you'll see that right now, because I stopped the UMED cast service from here, it's also stopped within the daemon master. Okay, so if you try to start it from here and it's not starting, simply open your daemon master and then right click and start this service. So the moment this service starts running, also this area should be able to turn green automatically. If it doesn't, then you simply use this refresh button here, the one that is inside, not the one in your browser. So you simply refresh this. When you refresh it, now it is running, and also at the daemon master, the service is also running. Now we also have this section about the database, whether you want to view the log files. So the log files is more like a file that tends to track how the system is operating. Okay, so you can click on the log files to see the information, what is happening. But in this case, we have nothing in our log files for data synchronization. Also for this one, I am sure there's also nothing in there. And the reason is because you don't have the eStation physically connected to this computer, so you can't have information here. However, you can be able to see the version of the eStation software that you have, and you'll be able to see the mode under which it's operating. If you're using the full eStation software, right now we have the lighter version, as you can see up here. It's the Mesa Light Station. Mesa and Doctor will speak more about this. How did this come about and all that? And then here, remember we talked about installing Postgres yesterday. Now, if this is red, it means that your Postgres is not running. But if it is green like this, it means it is on. And then also the connection of the internet. So we have a service called get internet. So the get internet is the one that picks data from the internet providers. So if this is red, then it means you don't have a connection to internet. I would attempt to disconnect my internet, but then you will not be able to hear me. So if it is red, it's not connected to internet. If it is green, like the way it is, it means it is connected. Sometimes you can have an internet glitch. So all you need to do is when you're sure that you have an internet connection, you simply need to refresh this section and then it will refresh itself. So that's about the dashboard. A couple of things that you can do with it is to start a service and end a service. And all these things that I'm talking about are already in your presentation here. Now we move on to acquisition tab. And I told you it allows you to activate a product for each of the product category. I talked a little bit about the product category, but we'll see it more today in our presentation. So you have certain parts of your product category analysis, rather acquisition tab. So let's simply go there. So when you click on acquisition tab, so the first thing you'll be able to see are the product categories. So each of these categories include the vegetation category, rainfall product category, the fire, inland water, and then the miscellaneous. Now, next to each of the name of the product category, you'll be able to see the numbers. So it means in this category of vegetation, you have 8 products, you have 6 products under rainfall, you have 3 products under fire, you have only 1 product under inland water, and then you have 4 products under the miscellaneous. So how do you view the content of this? So you view the content, the 8 products, by clicking on this plus sign, and then you'll be able to see all these 8 products. So we have the first product here, second here, fourth, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth. Okay, so that's how you view the content of each of the products. Okay, and you'll see that as you're moving towards the right, first of all, here you have the product categories. And then in this section, you have the get. Okay, so remember this get is either get UMedCast or get internet. And then you have this section is the ingestion. So the ingestion, what we said, is about generating what we call the sub-products. So the ingestion is the where you see other sub-products and also you see more information. So under ingestion, you will be able to see the sub-products inside the main product, inside the category. Okay, so let me explain that. When you open the vegetation sub-product or product category, you'll be able to see that the first product is GRC, mass, WSI, HP. Now, under the get, you'll have only one get. You have only the internet get. So it means it's downloading data from internet. So all this product is being downloaded from internet. What does that mean? It means if you need to have continuous access to these products, you will need to have an internet access. Okay. Now, you can disable the download of this data because it's going to always do it automatically. So if you have your computer that you have very little internet and you want to save your internet, so you can disable this because you don't want it to run. But under this, you'll be able to see, you'll be able to activate or deactivate like I mentioned. So deactivating means unchecking the box. If it is checked like the way it is activated. Now, also you'll be able to see the log files. So when you click on the log files, like I mentioned, for the eStation lighter version, you may not see a lot of information on the log files. But what is important here is that you'll be able to see the sub-products. So you'll now be able to view the sub-products. So in this case, the sub-products are the crop and the pasture. Now, there's something that we call the map set. So the map set. What is a map set? So the map set is basically showing you the region, okay? It's more like the region of the data that you have available. So if you remember yesterday, I told you that you need to specify the thema, okay? So if you've specified the ICPAC or the IGAD region, then you'll have your map set is going to be IGAD. If you've specified SADC, then your map set is going to be SADC. If you've specified RCM RID, then your map set is also going to be like that. So in this case, the map set is showing us, first of all, the region, but also it is showing us the resolution, okay? The resolution of the data, the spatial resolution in this case, and also the source of this data. So under the map set, you'll have this, and you'll see that in all the files that you have, everything is labeled like that. Okay. Now, something that I have not mentioned to you is the completeness. The completeness basically shows you what is available and what is not available. In this case, I don't have any data available. Now, not availability or data not being available doesn't mean that in the system you may not have it. It just shows that for some cases, okay, really for some cases, it shows that the data is not being viewed because the naming system has changed. So you're not able to see it displayed within the completeness. But the completeness basically shows you which data set is available and which one is not available. And I'll show you that with what I've connected to my data, to my system. The complete data that I have the actual rainfall, and you'll be able to see a little bit of them arranged here. Now, the data that I have that is available in the system is the FuseNet. Remember, if you go to my hard drive, you'll see that my data on FuseNet and on CHAPS, I think, is available. Okay, so you'll see that here I have data for FuseNet. I have data for SPI for the month from CHAPS. SPI means Standard Precipitation Index, is one of anomaly that is used to analyze drought. And we shall be using SPI in our analysis of Friday, yeah? In our analysis of Friday. I also have a bit of the TAMSAT data from version 3.0. So I have it here. I'm missing about 109, but at least I have about 1,490 files, which stems from 1983 up to 2024. Okay, so if you have all the data sets inside your eStation, then you'll be able to have everything green. Now, in my hard drive, if I check on how much space the data that I have is occupying, I'll see that I have about 40 GB of the data that I have uploaded in my eStation. So this where you're seeing green is actually where the data is occupying, or the data is inside my system. But you'll see most of the areas are gray or completely red. It means that I have a lot of missing data inside my eStation folder. So sometimes you may have issues, so you need to simply refresh this so that you can see an updated file. As usual, under acquisition, you can also control the services. You can start, stop, restart, or view the log files. So these log files are still the same log files that you saw under the dashboard earlier. So there's this section where get archive from UMedCast. So this is something that you will need to check to turn on so that you avoid some of the errors that I showed you here, which is complaining or because of that. So when you check that, then you'll be able to have your system up and running. So I'm going to refresh since I've turned get archive from the UMEDCAS location. Okay, perfect. Now, when you check this button, you need to make sure that right now we don't have an archive data inside our UMEDCAS folder. So when you put that data in your UMEDCAS folder, remember the UMEDCAS archive data is not in the format that I've shared with you. What I've shared with you is the process format. So if you want to have an archive from the UMEDCAS, the format under which it comes is very, very different. I don't have it here, otherwise I would show you. Basically, it comes in different file formats. For example, you'll have netcdf file there, HDR, HDF, HDR. All those files are going to IMG. They are all going to be here and of different categories. So the software will figure out which one is for what, and based on the map set and the product type, it will put it in the right location. Okay, our time is really, really running, so I need to speed up. Now, under processing, like I mentioned to you, is where it generates the sub-products are processed. So basically, you have a row, you have a category vegetation, and then you have the product vegetation NDVI. So VGT NDVI, and then VGT NDVI, then another VGT NDVI. So what is the difference about this all? You'll see underneath it, first you'll see this is a 10-day NDVI at 300-meter resolution, okay? That is one sub-product. And then you'll also have, this one is now the 10-day NDVI, but at a resolution of 1 kilometer. This one is at 300, and this one is at 1 kilometer. And then you'll also have the NDVI VGT PV or LCI, which is NDVI of 10 days, okay, without the resolution. But generally, if you look at the map set here, you'll see that this one is 300, this one is 1 kilometer, and this one is 1 kilometer. So the type, okay, the type of the processing, reprojection is done, the merging is done, the standard NDVI is processed at this chain, during this chain. So you have that. You can disable and activate the processing chain of this if you want to. If you don't want, then you can disable it. Now, let's talk about the processing outputs, because the processing outputs are the key things that we need to look at, okay? And I'm going to explain what each of them means. So for the vegetation, maybe people understand climate better. So let me go to the rainfall, okay? So we have the rainfall data. The product is ThermSat rainfall estimate. So RFE implies rainfall estimate. So what you're seeing dash 3.1, that is a version, okay? And I'm going to explain more on the data sets tomorrow in details. So let me not dwell a lot here, because the content for today is just to show you what is in these tabs. So you'll see that the product, the sub-product is 10-day, and the map set is already here. So when you see ThermSat Africa, it means it's covering the whole of Africa. So ThermSat is covering the whole continent. The type is a standard precipitation, and the options, remember this is under the processing chain, but what I want to focus most is in the processing output. So the output, the sub-products of the output are here. So we have the 10-day rainfall estimate, normalize, difference to minimum. And I'm going to speak more about this in the tomorrow. But the code basically looks like this, and the map set I've already talked about them, and this. So when you see difference to LTA, LTA means long-term average, and relative difference you already know what that relative difference is, and then the difference of the data. So I'll speak more in details in tomorrow. But what is important in the processing tab is that you have the input, you have the process or the steps through which it's done, and then you have the output for it. And or for each of the section, you have, for example, the input, you have sub-product, and then in the processing output, also you have the sub-products that are generated in there. Perfect. So let's go to the data management. Data management is, like I mentioned, if you go back to this presentation, so talked about acquisition, and I showed the details of what is in acquisition tab. We talked about the processing, whether you can turn on and off the processing service, and also a number of things that you look at in the slide. And then when you look at the data management, this page gives you the possibility to complete data sets with missing files by creating requests to automatically download the missing data. So as usual, let me just show you here. So let's say you have the rainfall data, as I'll probably use as the process to show you. So you have the CHAPS rainfall estimate, and here you have some missing files. So when you have these missing files, what do you do? So all you need to do is you can either send a request to obtain the whole data or the sub-products, okay? So you can add, when you click on this, then you will download all these sub-products, okay? But if you click on, let's say, rainfall estimates long-term maximum, so LTA means long-term max, then you will be able to only get the missing file for this. But as you can see, I don't miss anything here. What I'm missing here, I have 1,563 files, but I'm missing 125. So what do? I click here. So when you click here, it's going to open a window to get missing files. We're still having some errors in this eStation. The one I installed earlier was actually working fine, but for this version, I'm getting some challenges. So it will ask you years back for decade product. Maybe you can say 35 or 10 or so years. Years back for daily product, maybe 5 years. And then years back for high frequency product, maybe 3 days. So when you do that and say apply, it will show you the total missing data sets that you're having. And then when you click on get missing files, you can be able to download these missing files. However, when I tried a few days ago, I started seeing some bit of errors. So I get this error that is called ext JSON, I don't know, something like that, which I need to consult with our people, the developers, to find out exactly why is this error coming. But also, alternatively, if you cannot get the missing files directly, you can be able to click to send a request. And when you send a request, it will generate a request file. I'm going to just view it using the visual code. And you see how this missing file looks like. So what it's showing here is that there are all this list of missing files that you're requesting for. So as you can see, there are about 120 something files that are missing that you want a request for. But also it gives you the details of what that request contain. So it shows you the map set, which is here, the pixel sizes, okay, X and Y, and then it shows you also the projection of the data and its product, okay? And you can be able to send that request, and you can be able to receive the update. However, whenever you do click on get missing files, it should be able to see, you should be able to see, click this button to see the request listed here so that you can be able to download this request at a later stage. Let me try to refresh and see if it has come. No, it has not. So in the data management section is where you can repair those requests. But if you don't, if you fail to get those requests, all you need to do is to ask for the whole data. And then when you copy it into that folder, the folder that I'm referring to is the folder. So for example, in the CHAPS, I have the CHAPS folder inside here. It is here. So all you need to do is to get the whole list of data set so that you can fill all these directories with the data. So as you can see, the sub-products folder is inside the main. So we have version. So we have this CHAPS here, Africa something, 5 kilometer. So 0.05 degrees is equivalent to 5 kilometer. But inside it, you'll be able to see the derive and the actual products. So the actual products are 10-day products. So they are 10 days. Now, then later you derive how many sub-products. You derive 1 month average, 1 month cumulative, 1 month difference, 1 year cumulative, and so 3 months, 6 months, and all those things that I'm talking about. So these are basically the sub-products that are showed also when you look at here, okay? 10 days, 1 month, and then 1 year, all listed in there. All right, I've spoken a lot, so let me just finalize with my slides. This slide is already shared. So as I told you that when you send a request, you should be able to click on this request section, and then you'll be able to see how many files that have fully downloaded. If you got errors, then it will show you that you have this error. So in other words, in this, what I'm showing here, you requested for 146 files. However, you didn't get any. So the error is showing the equal amount of 146. Okay. So basically, what is also important is that you need an analysis section or analysis tab, you need to log in or create an account. And I'm going to show you shortly how you do that. When you create an account, then you can be able to see more content in analysis tab. So if you click on analysis tab, this is what you see. You basically see the reference workspace, the default workspace, new map, and new graph. So let me show you that when you log in after registering, remember, this is your software. It's running in your local computer, but it has been configured in a way that it requires you to log in. So when you log in, what happens? So since I don't have the credentials, I can first register. So I click on register. It's going to ask me for a full name. So my full names are Thomas Enuru. And then the username. The username is a combination of your 2 names or any name that you feel you like, but they have to all be in small caps and also 1 word. So in my case, I'm just going to use Tenuru. And then the Gmail or the email, I'm going to put my Gmail. And then it's going to ask you for the password. Just put in a password. For my case, I'll just put 2 space bars. It will accept, okay? And then you click on register. So when you register now, you'll see that the content has changed. Now you have, in addition to new map, you have my map. In addition to my graph, new graph, you have my graph. Now you also have a couple of things here. You have the legends, the layers, and the logos, and so forth. So also you'll see that last time you have reference workspace and default workspace. now you have also my workspace. So the content of what is there now has changed completely. Okay. Now, in Analysis tab, if you don't have a lot of knowledge of or you're starting to practice, the first thing you need to do is to, of course, log in. So when you log in, you'll be able to see the reference workspace. So we have about 2 content that the software after you installing comes with. So let's look at what is the content of the workspace. So in this case, I'm going to click on the reference workspace. A reference workspace is a workspace that has already been integrated in the software as you're doing the installation. Okay. So to open this workspace, I need to select it. So to select it, I need to click on it. If I want it to open by default next time, then I can check this box, but I don't want, I just want to open it now. And when you click on open, you need to have an internet connection. Now, here we are only seeing the CHAPS data. So this is how you can prepare and organize your workspace, okay? And remember, we're just using a reference workspace. So this reference workspace came with the data already inside. So what do we see here? This area is a map. This one is a map. This one is a map. This one is also a map. But here is a graph. I need to put this a bit down here. So this section is a graph. Now we are going to learn how did they create all these things together, okay? How did they generate some of these things together? Now, we are going to explore just one map, okay? So I'm going to make this map a little larger, okay? Just for us to explore it alone, since they're the same. Now, in this map, first of all, you can scroll in and out to zoom in and out. If you don't want, you can use the navigation tool to zoom in and out, okay? So even you, right now, you should be able to have this content. I am not sure. I think I shared the CHAPS data. Yes, I did. If you connect successfully your data to your computer, you should be able to have this running up. Now, apart from the navigation, you can use the zoom factor. So you can zoom by maybe that value, okay? So you can change the zoom factor if you want to. You can also work with the transparency of the data. So for example, the rainfall difference, okay? You can change the layer transparency on and off for the data itself, okay? Using this. Also here, you can be able to see the layers that have been uploaded on the map. So when you click on it, or you put a cursor on it, you'll be able to see that I have the Africa level 0 admin boundaries, and I have a product layer. So this product layer is actually the one that is shown here in your legend. So as usual, you can turn off the legend on and off by clicking on this icon here. Also, you can be able to select a country by clicking on it. So let's say I want to select this country. So when I select this country, the name is going to come up here. It's going to show me that that is Nigeria. This is Algeria. This is Tanzania. This is Botswana. This is South Africa. And this is Namibia. And this is the Sudan, including the Somalia and also Eritrea and probably Djibouti. Yeah. So if I click on the country, let's say I click on Ethiopia. When I click on Ethiopia, it's going to be highlighted and I can mask out. Okay, you see this masking out? So you start by first selecting a country or selecting the area of interest, and then you can mask out. Okay. Now, also, you can, let's say, I'm very much familiar with, let's say we go to Kenya, the Mara, it's called Mara what? There's a very interesting place here, Mara. I've forgotten the name, but there's a very interesting place here, which is a favorite place for Kenya.
Masai Mara.
Masai Mara, yes, doctor, thank you. So Masai Mara area. So if for example, I have my area of interest, or I'm interested in drawing just a region in Masai Mara here in Kenya, I simply click on here. I specify that I want to draw a polygon. You can also draw a line, a box, and a square, and all, add a point. But now I want a polygon. So you can click on it, and then you can digitize. Okay? You can digitize to create your area of interest. Okay? However, if you don't want to, so need to, okay, I'm creating very many things, sorry. So if for example, you've created a lot of things, all you do is you come and you reset. If you don't like what you've digitized, like I did, so you can just, okay, simply you need to click to finish. Click on the last point to finish. I was double clicking, so that's why it's bringing other things. Now, if you click on Masai Mara, or you created a polygon in Masai Mara, then you're good to go. However, there is also other ways of generating this Masai Mara or protected areas. So all you do is you go to add a vector. In this case, we want to have the wild protected areas or natural habitats. So under natural habitats, you can have protected areas. So when you click on it, then you can be able to pick a protected area. In this case, the protected area I want is this one. It's called Tsavo East National Park in Kenya. So you can also just pick those area of interest. Of course, the other option is also you can just be able to upload your own layer. So under user define, you can be able to create your own layer and then add it onto the system. Okay, so you can manage your layers. We'll do more later under here, where you can be able to manage, add a layer. So tomorrow we'll create our area of interest layer from QGIS or from ArcGIS, okay? And then we convert it into a GeoJSON file, and then we shall upload it and use it for our analysis tomorrow and next. However, simply those are some of the functionalities you can do on the map. And then, of course, the most important thing is you can be able to make your map. But before you make your map, I want to show you how to turn on and off the logos. So you can have here some of the logos here. For example, we have the GMES logo. You can also add the logo of your country. You don't have to only have these logos. And I'll show you when you double click, you can be able to upload the logos. Now, these are the logos that you want. If you don't want GMES logo, you simply bring the one you want up. Simply, yes. So you double click. So if I want this, I can add it there. You double click on that. Now, instead of having GMES logo, if you want to remove it, you double click. Then you click on save. Now you have only these logos. If you say, okay, I want the GMES logo also there, then you can add it, click on save. Now the logos are 3, okay? But also we shall show you tomorrow how do you upload logos. So you click on these logos and then you can upload, let's say I have a Makerere University logo, probably somewhere. Let me look for it. So, okay, let me just add this one, the Uganda Wildlife Authority logo, and I import. Now this logo has been added in my content here. So if I want to add it here, I double click on this. I scroll down. It should be here. Where is it? Where is it? I refresh maybe. Okay, not seeing it here. Okay, when you add it, you need to check it. But now the logo is even not, you need to activate it. So when I when I activate it, let me see if it is in this list. The problem is it's here, but it's not the right logo that they need. I think they need a JPEG, and I've added a PNG. So sorry. So I need to go back and remove it. Simply delete it. And then, but you can also activate some other logos. Let's say I want to add the ICPAC logo here. So IGAD logo. When I activate it, or I make it by default, then by default, my map should be able to add it. I refresh this. It should be able to add the ICPAC logo somewhere here, which is this one. So I can add it and I save, and then you can have your logos. Also, you can put a disclaimer. You can double click and then write maybe some things that you feel you want to write, okay? Maybe something about this map, this protected area has been degraded, maybe in 1980s, this is how it was. And so you can add the content or information about your map here. Of course, the logos are here. Also, you'll see that the time period of your image or the product is here. You can double click to change this. But as you can see, these ones are coded. These are coded for information. So you should change it unless you know what you're doing. If you want, you can click on the source edit, and then you can edit the whole thing, but you need to know what you're doing, okay? These are coded files, yeah? So you'll see that this map changes with time. So when things change, also the content that is inside there changes. So that's why it is coded. So as usual, you can export your map as a PNG so that you can be able to add it in your report. So here I've downloaded my map. So the way I've prepared it is not in the best way, but when you make it, when you organize your items very well, you'll be able to have your map, which is looking like this. And all you do is you put it in your report. Okay. All right. The last icon that I will interact with in analysis section, we are not doing everything for analysis. Analysis is going to cover this. All the remaining 3 days, rather the remaining 2 days, Friday and Thursday. And we will touch a little bit of it also tomorrow. So there's still a lot to cover. So also you can use the link. So the link is basically what you're doing is you're linking all these windows together. So when you click, when it's in red, it means it's not linked. When you click on it, then it's now linked. So what is happening is that when each map window is linked, whenever you change or you scroll or you select one map window from the other, whatever you do in one of the windows get linked up in the other windows. So as you can see, when I scroll out, all the maps windows are scrolling out. The beauty with it is that if I link, so let me just reduce this one again so that it can fit. Come on, fit. Okay, so if I reduce this because I want to link all the windows together, I can also link my my graphs, okay? And we'll talk more about how do you create a map tomorrow, how do you create a graph, the number of graphs that you can create. So we'll look at that tomorrow. So if I click, right now it is Democratic Republic of Congo. So I'm looking at the rainfall time series from January to December for this particular year, 2019. So how do I see that for this country, Ghana? So when I click on Ghana, automatically everything gets synchronized to Ghana. So if I zoom to Ghana and let me mask off Ghana, okay? So if I mask off Ghana for each of the countries, so what I'm saying is mask off to that country every time I select that country. So as you can see, for Ghana, this is how the rainfall is varying over time for different sub-products. So we have CHAPS 10-day, CHAPS 10-day long-term average, CHAPS long-term mean, and then CHAPS long-term max, okay? So all these are appearing here and they're of different colors, so you can put a cursor on top to see more details. But if I select this country, which is Nigeria, everything gets, the graph also updates based on Nigeria, okay? And also for these countries, if I want to. So the beauty is that in one go, you can be able to do analysis for different area of interest if you want, and also for a number of things if you want. So we'll learn more in details tomorrow. And if you feel like this workspace, you like it, you simply save this workspace, and we'll look at more in details tomorrow. All right. I've tried to rush through this slide and I'll just look at it again. So simply what I am saying is that you start by signing in, and then after signing in, you come and then open the analysis tab. And then in this case, we're just simply exploring a reference workspace and a number of things. So a workspace, of course, is composed of a map, a graph, a legend, and the layers. And we've touched a little bit of what each of that is. And also, I said that for the map, you have that section of the map, a number of things that you can add and exclude from the map, including, so in this case, we're looking at a map alone. So a map looks like that. A graph looks like that. And this is how you create it. We'll do that tomorrow practically. A legend and how you modify the legends and create new classes and all those details, we'll cover them tomorrow. And then we have the layers. How do you manage to add your own layers, but also delete or deactivate and activate a layer? We shall all learn those ones a day tomorrow. So yes, that is what we had to cover for the day 2 session. I should be having a couple of questions on the chat, so I'll just go to them.